Hey, welcome here as we are with the Montana Sportscast podcast. As we're talking Frontier Conference basketball, Paul Panisco, the lovely and talented Bob Ritterod. Bobby, how are you, man? Well, I have to be nice to you now.
Why?
I don't know. I
I
figure it was
wanna I,
contractual.
I wanna know why you got to be nice so I can pass the word around. I'm doing good, Paul. I'm doing
Good.
good. It's uh second round for basketball. Things it's going to start getting a little bit more interesting this especially this weekend. There's going to be some interesting games I think coming up. But yeah, second time around, going to be
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, exactly. And we expect brawls. We expect incredibly good games. And I think that was the case. So, yeah, where do you want to start, brother?
Well, let's kind of go with the women. We'll start with their standings there.
Yeah.
I think my computer crashed earlier. I don't know if I have that up or not. I guess I
Yeah.
don't. So I'm
That's
just
all right.
gonna.
Yeah, say we can read
We
them out,
got
not a worry.
yeah. We got Western Carroll and Rocky all tied at 5-1 in conference play, and then Tech at 2-4, Providence at 1-5, MSU Northern at 0-6 in conference, and as always, it's just another log jam there at the top, and some things are going to get sorted out maybe a little bit again this weekend. It
Hmm.
seems like we go 2 weekends, Paul, and we kind of make a decision, and then the third weekend we're all tied up again.
The cards go in the air and onto the floor.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on things on the women's side as far as standings go?
We have that separation there. Like you said, Western Carroll, Rocky, all 5-1. All are playing really good ball. Well coached, and they all have their key pieces. You look at all those teams, and you look at Western, and Brindley Fitzgerald. Period. I mean, she's a monster. They have a great team around her, but she just continues to dominate. She is outstanding. Carroll College and what they do with Pickens and Hillman and the tremendous job they do inside and out. And then Rocky, I'm obviously a little partial to Chloe, but Rocky, a big team and solid there as well. Those three teams do have a little separation and could get more separation this week as we go. You look at Tech at 2-4 playing good ball, Providence 1-5, and then Northern 0-6. All three of those are good programs, but you look at Tech sitting in fourth place right now. They're on the road for two. They're at Rocky. They're at Carroll. You want to try and steal some on the road, but my goodness, good luck. I mean, you have two really good programs at home, even more so. If you kind of obviously if it goes the way it should, the idea of Tech getting a road win is going to be really hard, and that kind of goes down the line. So you could see even more separation between Western Carroll, Rocky, and the other remaining three.
Yeah, and it's just kind of a matter of those top three when they start beating
Yeah.
each other up again that we kind of get back to being even. But the top three, and like you said, Western just playing great. We'll have Coach Woolley on here shortly, but yeah, they're really playing well. And he's
Yeah.
got a couple other pieces to go with that
Yeah.
team that they are, I think, probably the best team in the conference right now.
Hmm.
Carroll and Rocky, I think, if they played 10 times this year, they'd probably split.
I think that's
To
a solid
be
point.
honest with it, Tech, they picked up a couple big wins under new coach Jeff Graham, and that's positive for them. Providence, Coach Bill up there having a little bit of trouble. He's lost a lot of talent. I don't think people really realize.
Oh, Bobby. You're frozen up, lad. Uh-oh. I'm going to need somebody over on the eastern side of the state to go reset his router for me, if you don't mind. Oh, there he goes. So we'll see if we get Bobby back here. Hey, look, he's back.
It again to me. Yeah, just a minute here. I gotta make an adjustment.
Yeah, see, you kind of buffered on me right when we started there for a second, and then just kaput.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's actually I think it's my. I think I actually
Ooh,
do run this on
it's buffering again, Bobby.
Wi-Fi on this computer. Ha! Been there?
Yep. I just heard
You
that.
there, Paul?
I heard that,
Oh,
Bobby. But boy, you're lagging something fierce.
you just heard that, huh?
Yep,
All
I
right, let's
heard
try
that.
this again. Where did we drop off? Okay. So we jump into the men, Paul.
Let's do it.
All right. As far as the standings go there, Montana Tech, I think they are hands down the best team in the conference. They have a 5-1 record. Providence, with that 4-2 mark, Coach Keller up there picked up a couple players, and I think that they're a totally different ball club at 4-2.
Yes.
Western at 3-3. I think Coach Larson down there, I think he's kind of got the surprise team this year. I just I think they're surprising a lot of people, playing very good basketball. Coast MSU Northern at 2-4, as well as Rocky at 2-4, and then I do Carroll's at 4. Log jam there at the bottom of that one in the men's side, but Paul, I think Tech definitely has the upper hand in the conference this year on the men's side.
I'm with you. Tech is incredibly good. They're disciplined, and I think that's their real key right now. They don't turn the ball over. They play great defense. They showed that in the second half against Western. And even going back to the Northern game, they both teams really had really high-powered offenses in the first half, but buckled down hard in the second half. Tech's defense is going to win them a lot of games. But boy, I'll tell you, the gap between they and Providence is a lot closer than I originally wanted to call it. I think Providence is scary good. Like you say, with the addition of Harris coming back, or Harris Williams rather, and Stevens, though that Providence team is scary. And when they start hitting deep balls, good luck. They're incredibly good. Tech winning a nice game on the road at Western. You remember Western is the team that gave them their first loss of the season. But yeah, I think Tech number 12 in the country. Coach Hyatt is real deep, and that's a really good basketball team.
Yeah, and Tech did climb one spot from 13 to 12 on that last poll. So, and they are the only team in the Frontier Conference that's in the top 25 or even receiving votes, Paul.
Yeah, and moving forward, you have to assume that's probably going to be the case, don't you think? I mean, unless you could see somebody knocking Tech off and possibly climbing into the top 25, so we'd have two teams, right at the bottom of the top 25, if you will. But with the way this conference is, I don't see more than one because of playing everybody still two more times. There's going to be so much teams beating each other up that I just don't foresee two teams staying in the top 25 on the men's side, even though we continually talk about how good this conference is top to bottom. It's going to be real tough for the conference to finish with two teams in the top 25.
Yeah, and I think we kind of talked about that after the Arizona trip or that weekend. The Frontier on the men's side, and I believe it was Charlie Gross we had on, even Paul, that time said that, the Cactus Classic kind of hurt teams this year as the men kind of taking it on the chin down there in that tournament. And, and that's true. We gotta have a good showing in those tournaments around the country.
Yeah, I completely agree. That's normally a tournament where we can go down and kind of make a statement about how good our conference is. And like you mentioned, it was the other way around on the men's side. The men got beat up down there and really did hurt our conference as far as the national side goes. So this week is going to be interesting as well. We talk about winning at home and who you have on your floor. You look at some things could change this weekend where, Montana Tech is on the road for two. They're at Rocky. They're at Carroll. Those are two incredibly tough places to play and win. So Carroll and Rocky certainly could grab themselves a little more footing Thursday and Saturday with Montana Tech in the building. But like I say, if Tech's able to go on the road and get wins, even split, puts them in a really good position continuing to move forward.
All right, let's jump to the men's, since we're talking men right here. Kind of what happened last week. Western got Rocky 76-60. Providence got a big one at Carroll 93-88, and Tech over Northern 89-85. Was that overtime, Paul?
That was overtime, double overtime.
Yeah, so that's
Northern had
two double
overtimes and one normal overtime.
Yeah,
which is in all of them losses. I mean, they're an incredibly good team.
Yes. Yeah, that's just unbelievable to have that happen. Coach Hughes up there, I don't know. He probably doesn't have any coats left. He's probably got them all thrown in the stand. It's Sean. I love the guy. He just controls the tempo of the game so well. Just makes people play to his style of basketball.
Boy. And I'll tell you that's one where I'm a big fan of Coach Hughes and I'm a big fan of Coach Hyatt, and they both really believe in the same things. That's one I always look forward to see what each coach is going to do. And, they're two of the top teams in the country as far as defensive points allowed. Northern was only giving up like 62 points a game. Montana Tech at like 65 points a game. And in the first half started kind of crazy for both. Both teams came out, shot the ball well, and were knocking down shots. And then it turned into more of a game we expected, where nobody got any real clear looks. Everything was contested. It was a really well played ball game on both sides.
Yeah. Then on Saturday, Northern gets a win at Carroll, 69-59, big win there.
Yes.
Providence over Rocky at home, 80-67, and Tech gets one back, I guess I should say, 75-64 over Western.
Yeah, it's a big second half for Tech in that one where it was a tight ball game at the half. Tech came out, shot the ball well in the back 20 minutes, and their defense came alive again. Was able to shut down Western, shooting the long ball especially. And yeah, you look at, I think Providence is. I tell you, if you haven't seen them yet, they're scary. I mean, they're scary. It's going to be interesting to see how they continue to gel with the two players, with Stevens and Harris Williams back. Even when they were here, that's a fun team to play. They're a fun team to watch. They're small, they're athletic, they really get up and down the floor, and they create a ton of matchup problems. That Providence team is going to be one that's tough to beat. And like you mentioned with Western, I think I had pretty good expectations for Western this year, and they're playing really well. So we'll kind of see how things shake out here over the next couple of weeks and see where the line starts to form here on the men's side, where if we get any separation between programs or not.
Well, I think that it's going to be tight at the end, and it always is because it's just that third time around. It's just a killer,
Yeah.
and I think a lot of it's going to come down to the luck of who has the home court advantage to the two of the three games. I think that's going to be huge,
Yep.
but that's what's going to be nice about that tournament all at one spot. Boy, we can go up there and we can sit there and watch a lot of good basketball in 2 or 3 days there.
Yeah, completely agree. I mean, I love the fact that we're finally under one roof again. It has been a long, long time since that was the case. What were we? 3, 4 years here? I think it was it 2 or 3 years at the Civic Center and a year at the MAC, maybe?
I thought we were at the MAC 2 years, maybe not.
Okay. And that's
Yeah.
here's our
Yeah.
wonderful memories between the two of us. I
Yeah.
called most of those games, but it's just a great setting. It's an actual tournament setting. You get everybody under one roof, and a lot of things will happen in those settings. And especially, the big drawback from those years was, a lot of the time it was LC and Westminster playing in the championships, and they would bring some fan base, especially LC. But we didn't have a whole lot of Montana teams making it to that championship game. Well, now that we're all Montana schools again, that should be a different case and a different scenario for crowds and getting people ready for those championship games.
All right, let's look at what the women did this past week. Western got a big win over Rocky, 83-58. Paul, those two teams were tied for first place in the conference going into that matchup. It was Tech over Northern, 64-57, and Carroll over Providence, 73-41. Those games on Thursday, but Western really came out well, played really well in that game against Rocky. I tried to watch most of that. I was a little bit busy that evening, but just did a very good job of solidifying themselves that they are the number one team, I think, in the conference at this point.
The two wins with the Western win and the Carroll win, neither of the wins surprised me, but the margin of the wins surprised me.
Yeah.
That was the big one. Is we were calling the game here in Buttes. I kept updating scores, and the spread of points there both really were surprising to me, and that more than anything. So yeah, I agree. I think Western is exceptional. I think Carroll and Rocky are awfully good, and I'm the women's side. I'm really interested to see how things are going to shake out. I think we still have a lot of big wins and some real some kind of monumental wins. I think honestly left on the women's side of this, and it'll be fun to see where this thing shakes out before we get to the tournament.
And then on Saturday, it was Carroll over Northern, 71-40. Western over Tech, 78-71. And Rocky over Providence, 67-43.
What grabs you out of those, Bobby?
Pardon?
What grabs you out of those? Is there anything that jumps off the page?
I think the Tech Western game, I think is one that kind of caught my eye. Tech playing Western that tough at Western. Western had a big game on Thursday against Rocky. Maybe it's kind of a hangover game. I don't know, but I think it just shows that Tech is becoming a team to be dealt with.
Yeah, and I agree with that. The other part of it is I'm also a true believer in the fact of and it's not a fact, but a true believer in the idea of some teams, no matter how you are year to year, some teams have a tough time with a certain team or a certain coach. And
Yeah.
I think Tech historically plays Coach Woolley tough. Whether Tech is having a great year, a down year, whatever it is, Tech has historically played Coach Woolley really well. And the other version of that I look at a lot is I love Coach Mowat, but I'll tell you, he has a real tough time with Carroll. Carroll's had his number, and I think that's another current matchup that is heavily favored in favor of Carroll College right now.
Yeah, no, it's I agree with you there. It's a lot of it's matchups. You can go ahead. I'll say you can go ahead and ask Coach Woolley about that. He'll be coming on shortly and see what he has to say about that.
I don't, and maybe it's a bunch of malarkey, but just, in the years I've been around and the way things go, and it just always feels like some team, and maybe it's a confidence thing. Maybe it's maybe it's just a different locker room vibe. I don't know what it is, but there are those teams that it always feels like always either step up really hard against another opponent, or, they just almost enter a game defeated. And that's tough. I mean, getting out of that mindset is really, really hard if you're on the losing side of that.
Yeah, that's for sure. Players of the week this week, Rooney, the women's player. She had an outstanding weekend. And then we got Marcus Stevens. We talked about him. He just great. I don't know what you say there. I mean,
here we go. So I was going to be a homer, and I'm like,
okay.
Caleb Bellich had Player of the Week last week, and and it was one of those. I'm like, man, Belly was good this week. Belly played so well, and then I looked at Marcus Stevens and I went, oh yeah, that was really good.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and sit down now. That said, I think Belly was outstanding. But yeah, I think that's a good example of Providence and what they have available to them between he and Harris Williams. Those two are monsters. And Tavia Rooney is just rolling. She averaging 14 points a game overall, but in conference, she's at like 19 points and 13 rebounds a game in conference games. She is just going at another level, and she and Brindley Fitzgerald put on a show in Dillon. Tavia finishes with 24, Fitzgerald, I believe, with 34. Tavia playing really good basketball right now, and she'll break into the 1,000-point club. This weekend she has 999 points right now as an Orediger, so she'll get into the 1,000-point club, and that'll just go along with every other record she is either holding or currently climbing up the record column for.
All right, so I got to make sure that I mention that on the air when she does that, so you don't have to text me, or what do you say?
No, Bob, I just I let you do your thing. You're a consummate professional. Let me remind you, she has 999 points coming into Thursday.
Well, that's a goal, seriously, but her total rebounds on the year or for her career.
Yeah.
She's up there. I thought I read someplace, maybe it's in this, but in the 700s.
Yes. Let me see if I have my notes. I just wrote an article the other day about it.
Maybe it was in your article that I read that, Paul, that she is up there. I want to say 7.
Here. Let me look. Let me grab my handy dandy notebook of doom. Tavia's rebounding numbers coming into the season, she had 734. And right now she has 749, or not into the season, but these last couple of games. So she has 749 total rebounds. And again, her junior year at Montana Tech. So slowly climbing up that list here as far as total rebounds go in school history.
Yeah, that's for sure. And that's just great for her. She's a great player, and like you said, just a junior, and that's she's got a lot of brightness in that future of hers up there.
It's funny because normally, doesn't it feel like the women's side, especially, we've been really guard dominant through the years, and It feels like that kind of 4-5, depending on how you want to play it, is kind of where we're at right now. When you look at Tavia, you look at Brinley Fitzgerald, you look at Pickens, you look at, you kind of just go across to everybody, and that it feels like that is kind of the position, that athletic, long, kind of a maybe, I mean, a 4 probably is the best place for them. But that can shoot from outside, but can also drive and post up and really get aggressive underneath the basket. That feels like kind of our dominant position in the frontier right now.
Yeah, I agree with you there. The guards have definitely dominated because we've talked a lot of times. Well, when you get to that national tournament level, you definitely have to have a good point guard, which I'm not gonna back down from that because I
Nope.
think you do. I think you do at that national tournament.
Yep.
But I think in the frontier this year, I think the 4, uh, like you say, the 4 especially has probably been a dominating player on, well, probably 4, maybe even 5 of the teams,
Yeah.
when you come right down to it. So, yeah, I agree with you there 100%. That, gosh, I don't want to say 100%. Let's go 98.
I know that hurt you. You're just like, oh man. But even that said, and I'm not taking anything away from our guards, because the guard position
No,
has shown that, guess what, they're going to win games. I mean, we talked about the men going to Arizona and how much trouble they had. The women didn't have any trouble in Arizona. The women played exceptionally well in Arizona, not only there, but in Florida and in Hawaii, and against other nationally ranked teams. Um, our guards have not been a problem. Our guards have been awfully good. So maybe it's just the idea of that 4 or 5, whatever you want to call them, is maybe another step higher than where they have been in the past. And boy, I'll tell you, they're all fun to watch. I mean, you watch. It doesn't matter which one it is. I mean, you can pick one. I mean, we've already talked about Tavia and about Fitzgerald. Let's talk about Jamie Pickens. I mean, Jamie Pickens is as deadly from 24 feet away as she is from 2 feet away. She has great
yeah.
hands. She is physical. She's great in the block, but she can control the basketball on the wing. And that's kind of the calling card of those 3 specifically.
Yeah, yeah, it's and we talk about the point guard, and now we're talking about the 4, but I think something that's kind of important that a lot of people overlook on that point guard position, Paul, is that it really opens up your shooting guard. If you
Yep.
got a point guard that can not only, when we talk about point guards, I think everybody talks about offense. But if you got a point guard that can play tough defense against the other team's point guard and force havoc, bringing the ball up to 4 or whatever,
Yep.
if your shooting guards don't get tired, and are able to shoot the ball better at the end of a game.
Yep, agreed. And I'm on that token of, that, like you say about a point guard, where I almost view a point guard, if you can get 6 or 8 points out of a point guard, that's beyond what you want. I mean, that's a great day where your point guard is if you can get 8, 10, 12 assists out of a point guard, is a tremendous day. Controlling the tempo, getting the ball to who has the hot hand currently or where it needs to be. Yeah, that point guard is huge. And having them both, especially when you have a point guard and a shooting guard that can get open, can get around screens, can get shots off quickly, that's a big deal.
I think something we ought to look at is I think every team, both men and women, they've got a player on that team. They're not the standout point guard or the well, I'll go ahead and throw names out there. They're not Brindley and they're not Chloe Thatcher, but that player that just constantly does the role player thing. I think we need to think about that and talk about that maybe next week, because
Love it.
those kids really get overlooked,
All the
and
time.
they are so important to the team efforts, from the get go, and just make things happen. So,
All right, let me grab. I've got some of my rosters here.
all right,
Let's give some calls out here right out of the gate. So we go. So I have. Let's see, who do we have here? I've got Tech and Rocky on the women's side. For me, for Montana Tech, as far as the absolute hustle machine right now is Aubrey Rademacher, the freshman out of Flathead, or out of Kalispell, I should say. She's just having a monster year. I mean, Tech doesn't win ball games without Aubrey. You know, she's athletic, she's real long, has long arms, and just knows no speed other than full speed. She has been her separation from a year ago to now has been light years. I love the way that Aubrey Rademacher plays the game, and she is a big factor for Montana Tech right now. When you look at Rockies women, who are you looking at?
Gracie Lakevold.
Yeah.
You know, she was the freshman of the year last year in the conference. You know, she's just hard-nosed, tough defensive player. She's a coach's kid. She understands game. She's smart. Um, and she's got an uncanny knack of being able to make that three-point play when they need it.
Yeah.
Or three-point shot, I should say. But yeah, I think she is just the grit of that team, the toughness, I guess. She kind of brings that attitude to it. You know, she would be mine on the women's side.
Okay. I've got Carroll. You know, it's real easy. You look at how good Camden Hillborn is. You look at Jamie Pickens. Another one that it gets enough spotlight at times, but I don't think overall is Sienna Swanek. I think Swanek is incredible. I think
I do.
She's just one of those gals. I don't think you can fully put on paper what she means to that team. I think she's one of those players that always feels like she's in the right place at the right time, and that's not luck. No. I love the way she plays. And the other one, I like Maddie Garrett's a lot. I don't think she gets near enough credit. You know, I think she's another one when they need physical play, when they need some things done, it feels like Maddie Garrett's is there. And I think those two for Carroll, I like a lot.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I've always liked Swanek, and I think Garrett's has really played a lot better probably the second half of last year and this year. But yeah, I'll agree with you there.
From there, I've got Northern. Anybody jump out of you?
Gosh, you know, Paul, I haven't seen them. I haven't even looked at a roster, to be honest with you. I'm not gonna.
No, you're good. I look at, and it's another one of those just historically, like Riley Kerr. Riley Kerr is an absolute blue collar. You know, she and her sister were. I think Riley works incredibly hard and has a lot of pressure on her this year. Sydney Hanson, the senior, is also incredibly just gets after it, just doesn't stop. You know, especially this year when they're trying to get some wins going, trying to manufacture something good. Those two are really helping things out when, you know, Brianna McCullough is doing most of the scoring duties because, well, she's a machine. She is an outstanding player. But, you know, Moe always seems to have those players that are, you know, motivated defensively as much as they are offensively, diving after basketballs, and it's going to come together for them real quick. I mean, they're gonna get some things going, and I don't hesitate in saying that at all. And I think Riley Kerr is going to be a big part of that.
I'm checking my email here to see where Wooley's at. He hasn't. I thought he was going to jump in about 1:30, but we can talk about him now. We don't have to talk in front of him.
Yeah, you know, and he's one that I haven't been able to call their games yet this year. But I mean, you know, he has instituted such a standard of play. You know, we talk about players diving after basketballs and getting after it defensively, and he truly lives by that. If you don't play at full speed, you're just not going to play. You know, I mean, especially when they're guards, when they start to institute that real aggressive press, and they get in and they trap the ball so well, and they're so smart about getting into passing lanes. I love watching his teams work, and because it is work. I mean, they put in a lot of time, and he has a deep bench this year, which is something that he hasn't had a whole lot of, especially the last couple of years. So you're starting to see how good a coach he is and how good a program that is now that he's able to go, you know, more than 6 or even 7 if he's lucky deep.
So what are your thoughts on his player there that's kind of does their role?
And that's another one. I don't have a roster of theirs in front of me. And that's
okay. I'm going to go with I did a couple of their games in our tournament here. They weren't playing us, but Mesa King, the big girl out of Big Timber,
I like Mesa.
she's just kind of does the right thing underneath, and does a good job. And she's long. She alters people defensively, and I think that's who I would pick on that team. Kind
I
of
like it.
the role player. She just comes in and does her job.
No, I like it, and I agree. Historically, she feels like one that's been around for a while, and we're lucky. She kind of feels almost mistake free. I just don't remember her making any real critical mistakes. Always seems to be under control, and is a big part of both sides of the floor. And she gets up and down the floor as a big too.
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
Well, let's jump over on the men's side. What do you think there?
Who? Well, talk about Rocky. Who's that person for Rocky?
Boy, there's a couple of them, I would say. I'm gonna go with Cade Tyson and Nick Hart. Cade, by far the best defensive player that Rocky has. I don't think he gets enough credit for the defense he plays, and I don't think there's too many kids as athletic as Nick Hart is. You don't see him in the scoring column, but you can just tell that other teams respect him defensively for his athleticism and his shot blocking ability, and he's a great kid. So is Cade. They're just both a couple of good kids, but I'd have to go with both of them there. I think Cade on the defense and on the offense or the athleticism for Nick.
I love Hart, and that he's one of my favorite players in the conference. He just gets after it, and I love watching him play. I'll start locally with Tech, and that's you look at obviously the spotlight right now on Caleb Belich, Michael Ure, Asa Williams, rightly so. Belly's the man. I mean, the growth he is. Even he was a tremendous player a year ago. But kind of the leadership and the calmness that he has this year is a different level. He's the machine, but this is really hard. For me, Hayden Deacons is a huge factor. The young freshman is just, he's an athletic freak. I mean, he just gets up, he can get up and down the floor. And I almost feel like once he starts really attacking the basket more than he already is, and keeping kind of believing in himself a little more, watch out. He's going to be crazy. And then the other one that we have certainly talked about is Keely Bake. The young man out of Fairfield is just an incredible point guard. He was the sixth man last year. He's coming off the bench again this year, and he is so good. He's the guy that kind of holds the glue together for all 10 on the floor for Montana Tech.
All right. I agree with you there.
Who do you want to go to next?
It doesn't matter to me. I'm let's go with Providence. I mean,
there you go.
We talk about Harris Williams and Stevens coming in here. And I told you this right after we played him in that game in December in those early games. I love Kenny Curtis.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's one of the quickest point guards we've seen in the Frontier in a long time.
And they always come from that guy. They always
come. I'm gonna back up one step here. We're gonna go back to Tech for a second.
All
and right. you talk about Belly. I had Steve on here on the when we had Steve on here.
Yep.
He says Jeff was a good player, but he'd take Belly.
Man. And he said it without pause, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Yeah. And I'm kind of pissed at myself because I saw Jeff this weekend and I didn't get it. I wish I'd have thought of that because I'd have brought it up.
and I was going to send him the video and I hadn't seen if it's up yet, so I've got to send it to him. But yeah, I was shocked at how quickly he threw Jeff right out under the bus. I was just amazed.
Yeah,
man.
Look, now we can get back to Providence. But
for Providence, I like Jake Olson a lot, especially if Providence starts knocking down the three ball. I think Jake Olson's going to have himself. I think his numbers are going to continue to climb. If teams really start working the perimeter, trying to get out there to 25, 26 feet, guarding outside the arc, watch out for their bigs to start getting some points. And he's a grounding force inside, and played awfully well against Tech. And I think he might get a little undersold in their current lineup.
How about Western? Have you had a chance to look at
No,
that?
Well, like I said, they're a team that Tech has been in Dillon twice. So this year I'm not on the road with them. So I have always loved Kai Kuba. Even in high school, I've loved watching that kid shoot the ball. He's obviously a focal point this year. I'm a big fan of Jacques. One, because it is the best name in the conference. And two, he's another one that, you look at him and you just feel like, a strong wind is going to blow the poor kid over, but he fights. He gets in there and gets after it. And he might be another one of those kind of undersold guys for Western. I think a lot of pressure or a lot of focus is on the perimeter. They're one of the better 3-point shooting teams in the country. And, Jacques, battling for rebounds and getting the ball back out on the wing is a big deal. And, I don't know. Maybe a lot of it is because I love his name, but I'm going to go with Jacques.
Yeah, no, I kind of like the Haverfield kids. They're both local kids there from Dillon, went to high school there, and a lot of pride there of their town and the college, and
they're dangerous.
They're both pretty good shooters, and
that's the understatement of the year.
Am I safe to say that?
Yeah, I think that's pretty safe.
Yeah, no, I like both of those kids. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's swap her over to Northern. The lights of MSU Northern. Coach Hughes, I love CJ Nelson. I think he is just a hustle kid, high IQ, plays tremendous on both sides of the floor. He went out with an ankle injury against Tech, and it looked bad enough that we thought it might be long-term. Like he was in significant pain. I want to say it was before halftime. And then Nelson comes back out late, and about midway through the second half. You're like, he is just tough as nails. What was it? He broke his back in a football game. Oh, I know I'm going to missay this. I want to say it was at Ennis, and he rode home from Ennis on a bus with a broken back. And then that had done, it's insane. He is tough, a tough kid, great player, great shot. I like CJ Nelson a lot for Coach Hughes and company up to Northern.
Yeah, I'll have to go with you there. I agree with you 100% on that one for sure. Gosh, I hate doing that. Let's go 98%.
98%. All right. So we missed Carroll. Let's go to Carroll. Have you been in the building for the Saints yet this year?
Yes, I have, and I hate to admit this, I'm getting old. I can't really, I kind of got to place that game in my mind, I guess, but,
well, let's start with you and I continually every time we talk.
No,
go ahead.
I think who I would go with is, I think I would go with Koch, the freshman.
Okay.
Out of Capital. I think that he is maybe a little bit intimidated yet, Paul, settling into the college game and that, but he does a lot of things for that team.
Yeah.
And for Coach Paulson that I think go unnoticed. But I kind of like him, and of course I'm a little bit partial. I liked him in high school as well.
Yeah.
I watched him play some years in high school, but I like him, and I also like Johnny Hillman. I know he's got hurt. He didn't play here at Rocky the last time they were here, which is probably good because it was bad enough the way it was. But I like him too. He's just another kid that hustles and does a great job.
Yeah, he one of their leading scorers, and yeah, I hope he's okay. He went out in the Tech game, and it looked bad. So and it's one of those you and I continually talk about it. Anybody I talk to that has an inside. I hope he's okay. He is just does a great job kind of running their offense, real smooth, level-headed player, real intelligent player. So yeah, I hope he is able to continue to go. And I like Braden. I agree. We were able to watch him play in high school, and he sat down. I believe it was the Double-A divisional played at Carroll Gym last year, we were over there doing the games, and he sat down in front of us. And during a break, I took my headset off and introduced myself, and just told him how impressed I was with him in high school. And it was right after he had announced Carroll College, and I asked him, I'm like, what was the decision on Carroll? And he said, a lot of it is I don't want to leave home. And I went into my Montana Tech recruiting license there, and I was like, well, Butte's only 60 miles away. And he laughed, and so did I, and we went on. But we had a lot of fun watching him play in high school. I mean, it hit that state tournament. I want to say it was against Skyview. Was just one of the most insane things I've ever seen. And I think it was Kai Kuba. Those two teams went off at the state tournament in Bozeman. One of the better long range shooting games I have ever been around. And it was just incredible. And he had such a great career at Capital. And his future at Carroll is insanely bright. And I'm excited for what the next few years are going to look like.
Yeah. Did we cover everybody?
We got him, brother.
All right.
And Coach Woolley ditched us as usual. The only excuse I'll give him is if he says he was in the barber's chair getting that thing shaved off his face. That's the only excuse.
Yeah. Paul, I got a little. I think I talked to you about this. I couldn't come up with a name for this podcast, and I thought about calling it the Two Bald Guys. But so I'm doing this high school one now, and I got Blake Hempstead and Stan Ozark. Well, I guess we'd have to be the Four Bald Guys or something now.
Yeah.
I have no idea, but
and honestly, Blake hurts our street cred really bad. Otherwise we're pretty good shape, but Blake just drags that right in the mud. So
I think I know what I'm going to do for the next high school shows. I'm going to have you and Blake both on, and
we'll have the community the community fight at Butte and Anaconda. The whole
my picture
rivalry. It's Butte and Anaconda.
My picture's going to.
You'll just sit back and write down the FCC violations.
I don't have to worry about them on this. So that does make it nice.
That's a good thing.
That does make it nice. No, but no, it's just the Frontier. I think there's going to be some great games this weekend.
Yes.
Let's pick a game of the week, Paul. Let's go on the women's side for Thursday.
All right.
For the women, what do you think? What's the game of the week there?
Give me the three women's games. I have records in front of me, but not games. Sorry.
We got Northern at Providence.
Okay.
Carroll at Western and Tech at Rocky.
That has to be Carroll Western. I mean, that's the deal. I think Northern gets the win. I think the Northern women beat Providence in Great Falls. But I think Western Carroll, and I'm on that same page. I think they get them pretty handily.
Yeah, I think so. I'm going to go with you on the game of the week as well. On the women's side, Thursday, I should say game of the day, I guess, not week, but for Thursday, that Carroll Western game, I think that's going to be a good one for sure.
Agreed.
So,
yep.
On the men's side for those for Thursday.
I think that Carroll Western game is still going to be a good one. Northern Providence is going to be. I honestly, I think all three should be good ball games. You look at Northern Providence, you go Coach Hughes against, getting out on the perimeter, guarding those guys. That might be it, in my opinion. I might go Providence and Northern.
That's gosh, here we go again. I don't want to do that. So I might change.
There, I was say, there you go. Why don't you pick first, and then I can agree with you. It doesn't bother me.
Okay.
Saturday.
I got to go that same way on that. I got to go Northern Providence on the men as well. I just think that's. I think that. I think Coach Hughes can slow down the scoring of. He might even get Coach Keller to play some defense. Don't know.
And he has a little bit this year.
Yeah, look,
I
not
mean,
much.
for
A little
Coach Keller, it's a lot.
bit. We'll ask Coach Thatcher that question on Coach Keller. All
Yeah.
right, Saturday.
All right.
Saturday we got Northerns at Rocky, Westerns at Providence, and Tech is at Carroll. Women's side,
Mm,
no brainer.
all right, go ahead.
I'm gonna say Tech or no, I guess I was reading that wrong. I'm sorry. I got to think about it now.
What do you got? It's Northern Rocky. Is that what you said?
Yep, Northern Rocky. I'm going to go with that Northern Rocky game for the simple fact that Coach Moat always plays tough. You talk about teams that play
Yeah.
tough places. He always plays tough here.
And that's kind of where I was at. I think that's kind of the direction I'm leaning. You know, historically, Tech has played pretty well at Carroll, and they're going to have to. You know, I mean, they're going to have to really step up in a big way, and it'll be a big one for them. But yeah, I think I agree. I think that Northern Rocky game is the women's game.
How about the men's game?
You've got to go Tech Carroll, don't you? Especially at their place.
Yep.
The last time they played was insane.
Yeah.
And I probably lost 4, maybe 5 years of my already stunted life in that game. So,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I agree there too. That's definitely got to be the one. And you know, it'll be interesting to see. You know, it'd be nice if Hillman was back. That would
Yeah.
that would be a big plus there as well. So
Yeah, I mean, you're not. There's no disguise. I mean, they're a better team with him, and you know, anybody would be for that sake. So hopefully he is okay. Hopefully he's able to get back. Again, I don't know what the prognosis is, anything like that, but certainly our best to him.
right. Well, Paul,
Bobby,
with that, why don't you wrap us up? And Coach Paulson said he would join us next week, and
okay.
I'll see if we can get that Coach Foley on the hook next week. And I'm sure that he had something real serious come up. So,
well, I doubt it's nice enough to golf. That would have been about the only thing I could imagine him, you know, ditching us for is golf.
yeah, it's pretty nice here, though. It's pretty nice here, but I'm not going to go golfing.
No. For Bob Ritterod, I'm Paul Panisco. Thanks for joining us with the Montana Sportscast podcast. And until next time, take care.